Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes as written?
I make a motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, first vote on the home rule ordinance regarding, Board of Commissioners spending limits. Is there any discussion on that?
The spending limit is
35.
35.
If it's not,
Do you feel agreeable with that amount?
I'm agreeing with it.
35,000.
okay.
You have a problem with it?
I'll hear.
Make a motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, item number 4 is open the bids on the jail roof.
We do
I
have.
think these are 3, and then this
Got
is,
3 bids.
yeah, this is basically just a rebid or call for other bids. The first one that I received the first time was from Roof It Forward, and the total amount on that bid was $73,400. The next bid I received is from Cool Roofing. And that bid's $92,731. And the next bid is from A1 Roofman. That bid is $87,675.
73.
73 was Roof It Forward.
I like the black.
No, the
Pull that around.
there's an address of Kennesaw.
Anybody want to know about it? That'll be a 90 Cougar.
Yeah, and each one of these companies, they came out and they looked at the roof themselves. So there was not really like a spec sheet that was given to them. So some of them may be doing a little more than others. I don't know because I don't know what they looked at and what they're replacing. So
Do they don't have itemized what?
they've got itemized.
Get for $1?
Yeah, they do. And if y'all want to take a look at that, you can pass it
I'd
down.
like
Just
to,
let
yeah.
y'all go ahead and take a look at this because that's I don't know nothing about that. Roofing.
Same materials.
Forward.
And it's your
With A1 roofing.
So what I'm talking about is it's the final invoice from our attorney, Gerard and Davis, in representation for the lawsuit. From what I understand, this is the final bill, and the amount is $13,230.45. And it should sum up the last payment for representation brought forth a month and a half ago by the church. So should wrap it up as far as defending ourselves on the case. And I would make a motion that we pay this, be done with it.
All in favor say aye.
I
Okay, item number 6 is a variance request from John Pittman and Jerry Hensley Partnership. I went there and looked at this, and it's on Medina Road, and on Antioch Cemetery Road, excuse me. And right where he's wanting to do this, there's a bank there, probably 3 or 4 foot high. All you gotta do is probably go in around behind that bank, and I don't see any problem with this.
Mr. Chairman, can you read that variance request? I live on that road, not far from there.
Okay, variance request to build a new home, including the decks, 20 foot from the edge of Antioch Cemetery Road. And that's
20 feet from the edge of that road?
Yeah.
Well, I and Richard McCree, who's another property owner, are going to ask y'all to take another look at that. Because 20 feet to the edge of that road is right up on top of it.
It's close. But
It's
like where
real
he is, there's a bank there, so I don't know, maybe he's going to take it and go behind that bank kind of.
I've got a cabin on that road, and it's 35 feet off that road. 388 just down from there. Mr. McCree and I talked about this over the weekend, and if you're telling him 20 feet from the edge of that road for his variance, I'm going to have to ask you guys to look at it again, because that's just too close. Edge of the structure, including porches.
No, that's 20 foot from the edge of the road to the first edge of the deck. And then the deck 6 foot behind, the building's 6 foot behind that.
And I rise in opposition to that and ask that y'all look at that. That's just too close.
Table it, we'll get all 3 of that, look at it.
How many other variances have been approved with this road? I know some of the houses already pretty close to the road. I didn't know what
There's
variances
none
are.
of this particular place that's any closer than that. They're all further back.
It's a little road, and those houses, and it's at the very top. And Richard's concerned about it because he's concerned that it's going to block his view from his house looking out that way. I'm concerned about it because 35 feet where 388 is tight.
Who's Richard?
He lives across the street on Antioch from this, Richard McCree, across the street from Antioch where this lot is.
In other words, he's worried about blocking this.
It's just close, Bill. It's close.
I know where it is. I went out there.
He's a private property owner. He's got the right to, think what he thinks. But I also live on that road. I've got 2 houses on that road, on either side of it.
I'd like to look and see how many variances say in the past. Because I know there's a couple houses that are pretty close. I mean, I don't know how close they are, but I would say
There's a couple of them closer than 35 feet.
we would need to be.
And not yours.
Not even John Orr either. And John Orr had to go build down, and he's the next nearest house to this piece of property.
I think we
You want
ought
to
to
table
look
it?
and see so we can be consistent with what other variances have been given on that road. So I'm making a motion to table it.
We'll table that in the next meeting then. Make a decision there.
Somebody said it.
I mean, okay, the next one is a variance from Mac and Gail Fannin. Sir? Okay. He wants to place a garage 1 foot from the property line and instead of requiring 15-foot setback, and to place a garage 10 foot from the center line of the private road easement. He has a letter from his neighbor. Is that your driveway?
It is not near the driveway. I'm not sure where that second part came from. And my neighbor said up to a foot, but I will only need within 5. I have some pictures here that would help.
Bring him up here and let's see.
It'd be behind the house. The house says here.
Here's why I don't. Well, what's all around here? Wood.
Yeah, it's woods on either side. Yeah, this would be behind the house. This is,
You on this property, you on,
I don't think
you
so.
on this,
I
and
think
you want to build 5 foot. Property line, ain't it?
I'd like to build within 5 foot.
Never had any problem with that.
No, he's had,
That's
but
what-
it actually, there's a kind of a cutout there. If you put it there, it actually helps conceal the rocks from his views. Yes. The bank is about what the property no, it's actually off of it. That is actually the driveway that you share for that along the side. Same road section.
Goes up in the woods. Driveway up.
Your neighbor down here.
No, he's happy with it. I'm going to take his name along with
You make a motion to approve it.
I make the motion as long as the neighbor doesn't mind. I got the letter.
Got a motion here, a second.
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
This poster puts before our eyes Chairman Simon's new rules for public comment laid down at the last meeting. They abridge our First Amendment rights and are unwise and arbitrary. You see the forbidden topics lined out here: SPLOST, audit, letter to Attorney General, local legislation, being gagged. I also have put at the bottom a phone number of a local bail bondsman in case anyone finds himself or herself in the hands of the sheriff for speaking out tonight. And I guess that would be me, since nobody else did. Once you have established a designated forum, such as this public comment time, you can rarely legally limit its content or subject matter. This great nation of ours and case law allows great leeway on speech in these forums. You can't silence speech because someone disagrees with you, is critical of you, or your actions, or you're just sick of hearing from them, or if they just bug the dickens out of you. Even if you consider them a gadfly or a troublemaker, even if you think they're beating dead horses, they have a right to be heard. This reminds me of a Bible story from 1 Kings. Judah and Israel were at war with Syria. The king of Judah was named Jehoshaphat, and he said, "Before we haul off and do this, let's see what the Lord has to say." So the king of Israel called in his 400 yes men prophets, and they all said what he wanted to hear. Go ahead and go to war. Jehoshaphat, that's jumping Jehoshaphat, I guess, says, "But isn't there another prophet of the Lord?" King of Israel said, "Yeah, Micaiah, but I hate him. He never says anything good about me." Long story short, Micaiah had some words that would benefit the people, even though they were not what the king wanted to hear. There's a moral in there. Listen even when you don't want to. But public comment is a two-way street. No one should be calling y'all up there on the dais names or getting really up in your faces. For example, no one should call you a liar. Where I come from, them's fighting words. Unless, of course, you are clearly and manifestly a liar. The First Amendment in our history allows for a robust public discourse. Some other things. It doesn't matter if you rent or own, Mr. Sosby, you still get up here and talk about any subject this board has to do with, even SPLOST. You called out Mr. Garner for being a renter, implying that he should not be talking about how SPLOST money is spent. Well, even if someone lives in a tent in the woods here in Fannin, they have a right to talk. This is America. Don't divide renters and owners. And don't divide people up who were born here versus the newcomers. lifetimers versus Johnny-come-latelys, as Mr. Simons called it. Anyone who lives here, whether you've been here as long as the dirt was made or whether you got here this morning, you have the same right to be heard. So let's please ditch this divisive rhetoric. We're all here because we want to be and because we love this county. Another thing, I've been hearing y'all blame citizens who come to speak a lot for hindering the county's business getting done. Horse feathers. If you can't deal with the people, the pesky citizens, and get the job done, you're in the wrong job. And for the last several months, all y'all have been tied up in knots over the lawsuit Chairman Simons brought. He did that, not us. But we'll be paying the bills, won't we? And some of them were brought up tonight. I think I heard it was just for the post commissioners, $13,000? But pull up your socks and do the job without whining and blaming citizens who comment a lot. Another thing, the chamber. Never once did Mr. Garner say or imply that the chamber was doing a bad job. The minute he even mentioned the sacred chamber, an alarm went off and y'all shut down. Commissioner Johnson even said, quote, "If you talk to me about the chamber, I'm probably not going to hear very much of it," unquote. All Garner was saying was the percentage that the chamber gets might be looked at and might be adjusted because the dollar amount is growing every year. Where does it top out? $1 million, $1.5 million? Another thing, I don't like how you dissed Mr. Nichols and the Tea Party and the Conservative Citizen Group. Totally misrepresented what Nichols said. And you should be praising the Concerned Citizen Group for doing your work, cleaning up that hot mess of a local legislation. This is America. Nobody rules us.
By all means, come here and say it. But not the same ones over and again and again and again. So just to clarify, with some of the people who I've caught a little bit of grief over, and they're, "Earl, you're always running your mouth. Why didn't you say anything the other night?" Look, the way I read our local legislation and the way I respect the chairman is he runs these meetings. Whether you like it or not, or whether I like it or not, he was elected chairman. So if you got a problem with the chairman, or you got a problem with the post commissioner, or the other post commissioner, all you got to do every 4 years is go vote. That's what you do. But you can't hold me responsible for something the chairman does. You can't hold the chairman responsible for something I do. You cannot do it. I don't think it's fair, because I'm sure I do a lot of things he doesn't agree with. He does some things I don't agree with. Vice versa across the table. Y'all didn't elect us to sit up here and be pals. But it just so happens sometimes we find ourselves in agreement. We find ourselves in agreement over the Chamber of Commerce. We find ourselves in agreement over the repetitive complaints over and over and over. And I said simply, if you have a new problem, by all means tell me. And it's hard being called names. It's being hard being called three stooges. You know, I guess that's Larry because he's Larry, and I'm Curly, and he's Mo. You know, you get called things in which you never dreamed you'd be called because, you know, I try hard to keep a good name and have an honest. I try to be honest like I'm being right now. Nobody spends more time trying to be upfront with everyone as I do. And sometimes it may hurt me, but it's just the way I was raised and the way I'm going to continue to be. So if you disagree with some of my decisions, I'm okay with that. We can agree to disagree and still try to move Fannin County forward. But I wanted to take this time because at the last meeting I did get a little flustered and I really didn't know what to say because I hadn't been that aggravated in a very long time. Because I try to work hard. I think we all have tried working hard because we went through a lot of stuff. And my last analysis was said I felt like I'd been ran through a meat grinder. And that's exactly what I feel like. It's starting to get a little bit easier now. But I just hope y'all understand it. The chairman runs these meetings, and you need to respect that, just like I respect it, whether I agree with it or not. Because we have to conduct business in these meetings. Whether there's same views or opposing views. And we will try hard to work through each and every problem that we're faced with. But I would ask some of the people to please just give the same respect. For me, I will ask you, give me the same respect that I give you. I try not to down anyone, or talk harsh to anyone, or belittle anyone. And I would ask you to please try to do the same to myself. I think that would only be fair. And that's well, our digest was passed, and that is very good news. We're making progress. We had a problem 3 years ago when I came here. Now we're coming to the end of that. So some things are going good. And I think this past weekend was a testament, not just to the Chamber of Commerce, but to where we live. Because you couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't move here in Blue Ridge. You couldn't move out the county. I mean, there were roads busy that hadn't seen cars in 5 years. I mean, I don't know where all the people came from, but it was a very tremendous weekend if you got out and tried going anywhere. And I think we should be proud of that. And I think we need to be looking to the future as to, with all these people that are coming here, how are we going to handle this county and keep our significance? Because we have to be significant for people to keep wanting to come here. We need to keep that significance in what's drawing people here now. And that's a pledge of mine that I'll never stop doing. This place was significant 20 years ago to me, and it's still just as significant now, 20 years later. And I think we need to preserve that to continue growing. And I think we all need to be proud of where we live. Even though we do have issues and we do have some problems, they're getting worked out slowly but surely. And I just want you to know, after hearing some of the testimonies of tonight and the past week, of some people that were upset with me, I want you to know exactly how I feel. And I'll say it to you right here. I won't write it pen and paper and put it in the paper somewhere. I'll say it to you right here. So if you do have an issue with me, I thank all the people that come up and do talk to Mr. Knight. I would agree with you 110%. We've got to get something in place so people like you and everybody else that's wanting a road paved know how to go about getting on the list. I think that would be a very good item for us to look forward to in the next several meetings. Get that process so when someone does come in that's purchased a home, they know the process of how to go about it. And I think it would be fair to every person. I think that's something we can all agree with and work forward to. That way, there's nobody saying this guy's getting preference over this guy, or
Yeah.
or we'll try and limit it as much as
What are the rules, baby?
But with that, I hope I've answered a lot of questions, and I hope I've clarified a lot of things. And that's all I have.
Do we need executive session?
No.